you got a t-shirt with bloodstains all over it, maybe laundry isn't your biggest problem right now.
I remember the day the candle shop burned down. Everybody just stood around and sang happy birthday.
And a security guard came over and said, "You're gonna have to move. You're blocking the fire exit." As though if there was a fire, I wasn't gonna run.
You make love to the right woman, Johnny, it's beautiful, beautiful. I mean, the last time I made love to my wife, it was ridiculous. Nothing was happening. I looked at her, I said, "What's the matter? Can't you think of anyone either?"
I never learn, you know, like a waitress will bring my meal. "Hey, enjoy your meal, you too!" But you don't have one, do you? I'm a doofus. If you do enjoy it when you eat it, if you have a break or something later, if you get an opportunity, that's all I'm trying to say. That's all that I'm driving at, really.
Hello, welcome to Comedy Think Tanked, a podcast with Leonard Kimball and Nick Gordon, two comedians who know how to take a drink and have a thought. Sit back, get comfortable, and enjoy. Now, whether they're ready or not, here's your hosts, Leonard and Nick.
Hello, Leonard. How you doing?
Good. Nick, how are you?
Good. We got to work on those.
Yeah. We're getting so smooth in these hellos that like it's almost like we've done this for like, I don't know, a couple days.
3 episodes. Maybe 4.
This is maybe the 4th episode. Someday we'll get to a smooth hello.
I think it'll be the day that we get in person, where when we're together in the same room, we can actually hear each other speaking and see each other speaking, and obviously through Zoom we can do that, but at the same time it's just like the slightest of delays.
I think some of the audience is going to say like, they can't see each other? That's so dumb. Why don't they turn their cameras on?
What are they, idiots? Some of the audience
they probably have an easier time if they turned on their cameras.
Yeah. Don't they know how Zoom works? And then there's always that one person who's like, "Well, you should use Teams." Fuck you! I've learned Zoom.
Have you tried?
That's all I'm doing.
Have you tried Google Hangouts?
No, I won't. I refuse. Jesus.
Yeah, we're officially sponsored by Zoom. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Is that? Yeah. Can we say brand names of things without having sponsorship, or how does that work? I don't know. I don't know if that's more like just someone sort of throwing out the middle finger to a corporation to say, "I'm not saying their name on our podcast. We're not giving them free advertisement. We've got almost 300 listeners. We're not going to give them free." Oh, right. Yeah, that's not us. Not this year.
No, not this year.
I think everyone just knows what Zoom is. Like it's not a brand name of anything. It's just the fact that we're on the computer, we're looking at each other and talking to each other. Therefore, It's Zoom. It could be any other platform, but
yeah, it's kind of like Q-tips.
Yeah. Q-tip is the brand name, right? But
right. But everything is a Q-tip.
Everything is a Q-tip. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Even the other end of my toothbrush, if necessary.
Right.
That's gross.
Just wrap it in cotton.
How have you been?
I've been great. Getting in more exercise. I had this cool thing happen to me yesterday.
Yeah,
I was putting my belt on because I was getting dressed, because that's one cool thing just in general in the days of COVID, not leaving the house. I was actually getting dressed.
Yeah,
and I was putting my belt on, and I was tightening it, and I tried to put the little poker thing into the belt, through the hole. I don't know what that thing is called. It has a technical term, I'm sure. And I'm like trying to put it in, and I couldn't push it through. And I was like, oh. And I was like pulling my belt tighter, like trying to find the hole. And I was like, I'm out of holes on my belt.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
That was fucking awesome. I ran and told my wife, look at this.
That's really cool. So damn. All right. It's called a prong, by the way.
Okay. All right, scientist.
No, I just looked it up. I just Googled belt. And then
so
you get the
prong goes into the hole thingy. Okay.
Yeah, the prong goes in the hole. The hole is actually called the punch hole.
Okay. When we open our comedy club, we gotta call it the punch hole. There we go.
Damn it.
Grab it. Write that down. The punch hole. The punch hole. There we go.
There is the name. Son of a bitch.
See, some good has come from this podcast.
Yeah, finally. 4 episodes in. Oh, by the way, the name of the podcast.
Oh, yeah, we have a name.
Comedy Think Tanked.
Tanked.
Oh, my God. Comedy Think Tanked. You were on the radio the other day.
I heard.
You butchered it.
Butchered would put it kindly.
Yeah. No, I'm a nice person. So, I listened to it after the fact, though. I listened to the recording of. So had I been listening live, I think I would have called in and been like, "Whoa."
Can you just put me on? Be like, Mark. Can you just put me on the air just for a second? I just want to say the name clearly.
Yeah. I have a few things. I have some airing of grievances. So.
That was fun. I was on the radio on WIGYradio.com. Yeah, you guys can go find that on Mark in the Morning, the Breakfast Club. It was fun. I knew as soon as I was going to say it that I was like, I'm going to screw up the name again. I just got to bring. I was telling I should get like a little soundboard app on my phone of you saying the name of the podcast. And then every time someone asks me, and I go, "Hi, do you want to come on my podcast?" Like, yeah, what's the name of the podcast? Oh, it's called Comedy Think Tanked. And then I'll hit the button again, and I'll continue talking.
It's a lot of fun.
Yes.
That would necessitate you being out in public, just speaking to people.
Yeah, speaking to people,
which is hard. It's hard.
It is hard.
But we're making do with what we got, and it's fun, and I enjoy talking to you and seeing you on here. So,
speaking of seeing things, my son's been playing basketball, and all of his games, or at least as much as they can, are being streamed over YouTube.
Yeah.
And so, like most afternoons, I'm dropping him off for practices, and sometimes they have games late in the afternoon or early evening. I picked him up from practice the other day, and he's like, I'm like, oh, how'd practice go? Oh, fine. He's like, there's a new kid on the team. His name is Christian, and apparently he's a Christian. And I said, how do you know that? And he said, well, because his name is Christian. And I said, wait, what? And he's like, because his name is Christian. I'm like, oh, well, honey, I don't think that's just you can't just assume
how religion works,
right? I like that was he on the course saying like, have you accepted Jesus as your personal savior? Now pass me the ball.
God damn it.
No, so I said, was he talking about Jesus in the Bible and during practice or something like that? He's like, no. Like, all right, well, I don't think that's just a coincidence, honey. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I don't know how often, though. I was talking about my wife later, and I said, I don't know how often kids are named a religion, like as their first name. And so we started talking about some family naming their kid Buddhist.
Yeah, like before my kid was born, I was like, if he's a boy, it's going to be Jewish. I feel very strongly about this.
It's a boy.
Yeah, no, it's interesting how children's minds work.
Yeah,
it's like, bud, you're just there to play basketball. Like don't even worry about his name.
Don't worry about his name.
Yeah, give him a nickname. In fact, give him something else. Like
call him Savior or something.
Yeah.
Christ.
Can he do a layup though? That's the question.
Can he do? Jesus Christ, do a layup.
All right, I don't know who our 7 listeners are, but they could be offended at this point. We don't want to do that. We don't want to do that because there are rules to podcasting. And our guest today
knows all those rules.
Knows all of them, and he was kind enough to lend a hand when we started this thing, and whatnot. Doug Birgfeld.
Everything we've done right has been because of Doug, and everything we've done wrong is also because of Doug. So just blame him.
Yeah. And I think he's experienced enough and man enough to take any and all criticism that we might inadvertently throw his way.
We'll forward all the hate mail to him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
No, he's been really great, and we're thankful for the help that he gave us. Thankful for the help his son Ralph gave us in producing our theme music. Doug gave us lots of advice on music and length of the podcast and frequency and how to do hosting and the website and stuff like that. It's been really, really helpful. He's a great guy.
Yeah, it's certainly an educational process.
Right. And talking with him was interesting because we got to learn, that he's like an international actor.
Yeah, of international fame.
Right.
He's been around. He's been around, and he's done a lot of different things. And it's funny when you talk to somebody because you know something about them, and then all of a sudden you learn so much more. And when you're just kind of having a conversation, and to them it's no big deal because it's almost like he lived 20 years outside of the country, and he was gonna just skate on by it. Like it was like, oh yeah, by the way, and I got the muffins in the oven as well. Whoa.
Whoa, what was that? What was that thing you just said there?
You did what, where, and when? How? And what led you to that? Yeah. You weren't gonna tell us at all?
No. So we got some cool stories out of Doug, and it was of the many interviews we've done so far. This is one of the best. One of the best.
This is one of the top 4.
For sure.
For sure. I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed talking to him. I enjoy all of our guests.
Yes.
And any opportunity we have to hopefully make people laugh. So.
Absolutely. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, here's Doug Birgfeld. How you doing, Doug?
I'm doing great. Thank you very much, Leonard. Hey, Nick, what's going on?
Not much. Good to see you. Why'd you go to your mother-in-law's again when you knew you were going to record with us?
Because let me just check again. Because I had to.
Because I
had to. Yeah. And
Okay.
It was one of those things where it appeared as though there was plenty of time to do both things, but at some stage it became clear that there was only enough time to do one of those things.
Oh.
And the option to say, hey, I'm just gonna not do the thing that you want me to do. I'm gonna do the thing that I want to do. That wasn't gonna be the way it was gonna go. Mostly because they don't hear very well, and it would have taken a lot of time to explain exactly what I was gonna do. And in the end, I just said I was going on the radio.
Wow.
over in the parlor.
Yeah, I'm going to be using the wireless.
Are you on the ocean right now? That's a nice painting behind you.
I'm not. I know it. I know that is actually that painting. I'm glad you mentioned it. Was painted by my father, Doug Birgfeld Jr.
Wow.
Oh.
And he has many such paintings available. Some on some kind of a website, I think. So I'll. But I am not prepared, however, to shill my dad's work today on this particular show.
No, that's fine. But you should pass that along.
From March 15th to about Christmas, you can find him any day of the week at Birgfeld's Bike Shop in Searsport, Maine, where he sells bicycles, art, and will also fix anything that involves hydraulics for you.
Oh, that's awesome. Are you Doug Birgfeld the third? Or...
Yes, I am.
Oh, okay.
So watch your mouth, Kimball.
Yeah. We had a similar situation with my family. So my father's name is Leonard Kimball, and then I was Leonard Kimball Jr.
Yes,
and then like my son's name is actually Leonard Kimball also, but we gave him a middle name just to throw a monkey wrench in the works. So he's just Leonard Maxwell Kimball. No, like third or anything like that.
He didn't go with Leonard Kimball also.
Right.
You changed his middle name so he wouldn't be called also.
Right.
Yeah. So does that make him a junior of you?
No. He's
his own thing?
He's his own thing.
Yeah. Actually, he's Leonard Kimball Tokyo Drift.
That's interesting. I never considered the middle name. I mean, I'm not. I'm Nicholas Gordon because the first.
The very first ever.
The very first ever. It was going to be, if I was to be third, it would have to be Durwood. Yes, we're from Maine. seven generations worth. So.
Durwood.
Ever heard that name before?
No, I haven't.
Yeah.
Doug? No, never.
No, yeah, it's big with people who also have family members named Percy.
Yeah.
Right? Lemuel. Actually, I think the most common name for people who have 3 children is Lemuel, Durwood, and Percival. Waldo, I think that's a Waldo. It might be a Waldo County thing. But
are you a Mainer? Are you born and raised in Maine?
I wish I could say I was, Nick.
But
I can't say that because I was born away.
How far away? How far away?
I can tell you specifically that I was born the same number of miles away. That is Lansdale, Pennsylvania.
Wow.
Is that 12?
12. It's 12 units away.
12 parsecs.
Yeah. Unless you're using the Lansdale scale, in which case it's only 1.
Oh. Walking in the Home Depot. Do you have any Lansdale meters?
Yeah, Lansdale of 2x4s. Yeah.
Aisle 47. Because they don't actually help you over there. They just point you in a direction.
Yeah. Well, do you know where this is? Oh, do you know where I can find a Jigglypuff to hang up my widgemup? Oh, yeah, I'd have to ask.
I'd have to ask.
Oh, hold on, man.
You're like, no. I have to ask. That's why I'm asking you.
You have to ask. This is not happening.
I don't even need it anymore.
Okay. If you're sure, I'm like, yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah, we're good. We're good.
So, Doug, what brought you to the edge of the country then, to Maine?
Well, it was compulsory because I was 6.
No.
I don't remember how I was disposed to the idea at the time, but I either loved it and it was fine, or I hated it and they didn't care. And
either way.
And then I went directly to Searsport, Maine. I went from Frenchtown to Searsport. If you'd like to know specifically.
Oh, you got the good Maine accent. I still can't do a Maine accent.
You're never gonna be able to, because you have to hang out with them peeps.
Maybe I should.
Yeah. And by I mean like for a long time, not like a couple of beers. You gotta get you gotta like spend a whole lot of time with them.
You got it down though. That's pretty good. That's a good Searsport accent. My grandmother was born in my grandmother was raised born in Bucksport, Orland Island, and up that way.
Oh yeah, those fuckers.
Verona Island, I should say.
Is it a rivalry you have there?
Those fuckers across the river.
It's one town over, so they across the river.
Oh yeah, all those guys that worked at the mill.
My great grandmother, she canned sardines. She worked in a sardine factory down there.
Oh yeah. Well, so it was like there was a little controversy with our family because we were from away to begin with, so you've already got problems. But most of the people who went shopping for food went to Belfast to do their food shopping. But my mother, she went to Bucksport, and that was kind of a big deal. Not only did you have to cross the Verona Narrows Bridge, you had to leave the county.
Taxes are different, I think, right?
It took less time because it was. I don't know if it was closer, but it took less time to get there and back. See?
Yeah, because no one else went.
Well, I'll tell you, you go to Bucksport for your food shopping.
Ooh.
Were you outcast? Were you outcast growing up? Were you made fun of because of that? I mean,
not specifically for the place where my mom shop, but there was a lot of other reasons. I was a pretty high value target. My mother when my mother registered my brother to become a new kindergartner, she did so on horseback.
Shut up.
Wow. What?
It's true. Yeah, it's true. So that'll be a good start for you.
Now, it wasn't a broken down old car. It wasn't a Chevy Chevette. It was on horseback.
No, it was I think it was a horse named Brandy.
Yeah.
A horse named Brandy.
Isn't that a Bob Dylan song?
Yeah.
It was the great horse.
I'm sure it was, but yeah, you probably couldn't live that down until at least 8th grade.
Yeah. It's still, every once in a while, I'll be in Searsport for some reason, and it could get it could get mentioned even if I'm just buying a pack of gum at the bonus.
Ain't you the kid whose mother had a horse?
You look a lot like that kid.
Like, nope, wasn't me.
Not to my recollection. At least.
That was my brother. Wasn't me.
Have you embarrassed your children somehow in some way?
I take it as a badge of honor if I'm able to get them a little squirmy if we're out in public.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yep.
But
how old? What? Give us the rundown of the family.
I've got a 27-year-old son, a 17-year-old son, and a 16-year-old son.
Nice.
Just make sure I got them all. Yep, that's all of them.
All that we know of.
And it's the middle son that we have to thank for our awesome theme music for Comedy Think Tank podcast.
Yes, thank you very much. He really enjoyed doing that, and he really appreciated you giving him a chance. So that's very nice of you guys.
Yeah, it turned out really, really great, and like we're just bopping along and nice walking pace, people can listen to in their car, and then they're like, I feel like I should be walking while I hear this, so they just pull the car over, start walking.
And they stop listening to the podcast.
Cool. Good stuff.
So anyway, this interview is reasonably wide ranging at the minute. Is that is that how it's meant to go?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, it is. Okay.
Yes, wide ranging.
Yeah, we wrote some stuff down, but
Oh,
yeah,
I'd love to hear about it.
We had planned on spending an hour just talking about the Mars rover, but we figured we touch on a few topics here and there.
Actually, while we're on the topic of family and your kids, you're a surfer. I also attempt to surf. How'd you get into surfing and how, tell us about that.
Well, as always, everything's complicated with me, right? So
that's fine. Yeah.
So
that's why we have you on.
So what happened was I was married at one point, right? And then I wasn't. And
common story.
Yeah. And so I had the kids, a lot, and I ran out of stuff to do with them. And so, but I liked the beach. Everybody really liked the beach. So I'm like, that's pretty good. So I got some of those, those bodyboards like you get down at the beach shop. And so we got some of them. And so we went down to Popham Beach and Reed State Park, what have you. And that seemed to be fun. And then I just saw a guy one day over at Reed State Park surfing, and I'm like, oh, I want to do that. So I went and got some surfboards and started doing it. And now I have probably like 8 surfboards, right? Because I've got a couple, 3 for me. Well, you know how it is.
Oh, yeah.
Kids each have one, right? Got a spare one in case somebody wants to go and doesn't have a surfboard, because it's funner to go with people.
Yeah.
Even if that person's never surfed before, it's still better than going by yourself. So
100%.
Yeah.
Well, I live now near Popham, so we'll have to go. Popham and Reed. We'll have to go this summer. So
you live near? What are you, like in Bath?
Yeah, I'm on Route 9. Yeah,
you're right there.
Not 93, but yeah.
Yeah. Well, we call Reed Park. We call Reed over by Todd's Point. We call that one Death Beach.
Death Beach.
Really?
It's hard to surf there because it can get pretty dicey over there.
Nice.
Yeah.
We won't go there first.
Yeah. I mean, I like it, but it can be dicey. That's where I got hurt. That's where I got stitches.
Oh wow! Did you go under? I went under one time, and I had to cover my head, and I was just being propelled forward, and I didn't know where I was going to land. So I got out of the water at that point. I was down at Higgins Beach. And
that can get a little jumpy.
It was something. So, but I still love it, and I didn't go last year, so I'll definitely be looking forward to that.
Nice. No, Reed, it was a pretty heavy day, right? Like it was like tropical stormy.
Yep.
So first of all, I shouldn't have been anywhere near that area, much less in the water. I was with my 16-year-old at the time, who said, "Dad, I think this is a little too intense for you to do." And I'm using my 16-year-old judgment to tell you that not go into that water.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah, I'll be fine. So I went into the water and I did something what's called purling. And what that means, Leonard, is your surfboard's nose goes plunging to the bottom of the sea. And at some stage, the purling stops and the surfboard comes out at quite a high rate of speed. And it went way up in the sky and then came down. And then it comes down again, right? The air. This time it's coming down through the air. And it hit me on the head. But that wasn't the problem. I took a fin between my fingers. As it's coming down. And so it was like, so I'm coming out of the sea with because I hit my head a little bit and I got my hand on my head, right? And as I walk out, right, dragging my board, all these ladies on the beach just all went, oh! I'm like, oh, it doesn't hurt that bad. I mean, it was just a little bump, right? But of course, I don't know I'm bloody because I'm wet, right? So I got blood coming down the side of my face and onto my chest.
Oh.
It was so bad that the lifeguard who was meant to, right, clean me up passes out. So, but it wasn't as bad as that. It was just coming from here, right? And I'd hold it. But my friend was there, Marcia, who's a lovely woman, Marcia from Searsport. Well, she's from Stockton Springs, but we call her from Searsport. She happened to be there. She's that good that even though she's from Stockton, that we
you adopted her. Yeah.
Searsport. Anyway, so she's a nurse, so right. So she sorted me right out, took me to the emergency room, and it was all fine.
It's not a safe sport. It's actually, it looks like a lot of fun, and you just kind of go out and you ride the waves, and it's like, yeah, man, whatever, play the ukulele, have a bonfire, and call it a day. It's intense. People I think don't really realize once you get out in that water how hard those waves are crashing.
And the thing is, it just it never stops.
Yeah,
it's not like you get a break, right?
No.
You gotta be moved. But I don't go like I don't know who was. Somebody asked me, geez, how come Doug, you never go out when it's higher than this?
Yeah, up to your shoulders.
Right, because I'm just not that sure I can. I'm sure I can swim out to them.
Yeah.
I'm just not sure I can get back should anything occur.
Get back to where you actually parked the car.
Yeah. I'm just afraid I might go to France. I might end up in France.
You never know. We don't want that. So no, that's awesome. We'll definitely hit that this summer. Now, would you say, if you're going out to dinner, would you say surf and turf or turf and surf?
Oh, yeah. So I'm glad you asked that question. Because it has to be surf and turf.
Okay.
And I almost got in a fight with a guy out in the parking lot of Hannaford. And all I was doing, Nick and Leonard, all I was doing was, they have these little tasty bites, right? They're like these little pastries, like little raspberry filled pastries. They're fantastic. All I wanted was some of them. And I'm on my way back to my car, and the guy's talking on his phone to his friend. He goes, yeah, I'm going to go down and get the turf and surf, right?
Oh, no.
And enraged me. Took the phone right out of his hand and smashed it.
It just saw red.
Yeah. So my day was really complicated after that. But in the end, right, whatever else happened, and there was a fine, but we did establish, right, in court, it's surf and turf.
Yeah, okay. Good. Excellent. No, that's why I asked, because sometimes you hear things and people say, it the wrong way, and it's like, no, that's not how it goes. You have the certain ways of saying certain things, and surf and turf is definitely one of them.
We've been getting a lot of listener letters asking us which way it should go, and so now we know.
Trouble with you guys or them, right? So let's just decide right now. Surf and turf.
Surf.
And I'll go back to our lives.
Well, with that settled, the real reason why we had you on was, because you have a podcast. We've started a podcast, and you helped us get it started, and we wanted to thank you for that. And
absolutely
talk to you more formally about podcasting.
Well, I'm very happy to help. Podcasting is one of those things where it's competitive, I guess, but it really isn't, right? It really isn't competitive. It's one of those things where you want everybody who's doing it to do as well as they can. Unless they're dicks, in which case that's doesn't matter what they're doing, you're hoping they fail. So it's less about podcasts, it's more about them being dicks, right? So yeah, you want your fellow podcasters to do well. I think that seems to be the spirit of the genre.
So what sort of inspired you to start Ultra Quiz Plus?
I guess non-visual media. I just listeners, I just held up 2 fingers.
I was like, live long and prosper. No, oh no.
Oh well. Sorry, everybody. Well, I just wanted to try it, right? So I started a podcast with my buddy Steve called Alley Chat, which you can't find anymore.
Yeah, I do remember that one.
And that was just my buddy Steve tells great stories. So we just sat around the Liberal Cup, and I just left the mic running, and we told all kinds of stories, and it was great. But the trouble was, it's really hard to edit because it's a joy to be with them for 3 hours, right? But it is not a joy to listen to 3 hours of me shooting the shit. It's about 45 minutes of a joy, right, out of 3 hours for the general public. So it was an absolute pain in the ass to edit because I had to listen back to the whole thing, right? Ugh. And some of it was great living it once, but not twice. So,
no offense to Steve.
Right? No, Steve's great. I mean, the minute he gets his second vaccination jab, we'll be right back in business. But miss him a lot. But so I wanted to figure out something that had more of a format and that was a little bit more structured. And so I love English, UK, Irish, Scottish comedy. And so I consume a lot of that on the YouTube and whatever, the BritBox, whatever you need. And they have a format over there that's like Wait, Don't Tell Me, which is a panel show, but they have millions of them, right? We've got basically Wait. Oh, to tell the truth is kind of a panel show, yeah. Right? Whose Line Is It Anyway is a panel show, essentially. So I wanted to do one of those. And there was, my favorite one is one called by Bob Mortimer and Vic Reeves called Shooting Stars, which you can get on YouTube. It's insane. It's surreal. It's absurd. It doesn't make any sense. It's one of those things you're laughing and you're like, why am I laughing at this? It's stupid, but it's just one of those things. Great. And they had some of those things that we have in the Ultra Quiz Plus, right? Little call and response, these little running gags, and I really liked it. So I started to do the podcast just with a recorder on a bar table I think Leonard was he was like on a third show, right?
Right.
It was very unsophisticated, and I wrote the show on Twitter. And it was crazy. So at some stage I decided that it would be a higher quality program if I used people who actually had some experience being funny. Not just dragging people in off the street, right? And if I actually took some time to write the show. And I feel like that was right. Having like talented people on. Katie, by the way, if you're listening, you're a very talented person that I've had on. And then taking the time to write a show. I mean, that has helped a lot. And so and I love it. I love every aspect of it, except for the editing. It's fun to write. It's fun to do. It's fun to post it. It's just not that much fun to edit.
And then how quickly did Sheldon Bird, the lovely Sheldon Bird, get involved? Was it from the first episode? Or
no? See, I didn't even think about Sheldon as being part of the show because he's so busy. No, boys. It's because he's so busy, right? So Sheldon, he's always in a band and a chorus. He's playing bass. He's singing this. He's singing that. So busy, right? I almost felt like I'd never get him. He's been on Alley Chat plenty of times. But then I realized that I needed to get more sophisticated with my my recording equipment because we were doing it in loud bars. And I also knew that I wanted to take the podcast and do it live in front of an audience. I felt like I would add a lot to the show as far as the energy of the performers and in my energy. I know Leonard, you've done the show when there hasn't been any people. Right. And you've done the show when there has been 3 or 4 or 9 people in the audience. It's a big difference, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So I wanted to do that. And so I knew I needed more equipment. And that meant I needed a guy to run the soundboard. So originally I was just going to have Sheldon run the board.
Okay.
And that was it. He was just going to run the board and keep the scores. And I forget who called it the birdcage. Somebody called it the birdcage on some show. It was like, I don't know if it was Amanda. It was one of the early shows at the Cup when we were at that big table in the back. And somebody called it the birdcage, and that was it. And then we started bird caging and caca, and his part in the show just grew and grew because he's a very funny fella. He's very good at genuinely annoying me, which is genuinely funny.
Yeah.
Even to me when I listen back, right? I get like when he's pulling that shit on me during the show, I get really, I'm like, will you quit it? And I listen back, and it's very funny.
Right.
Yeah. So he's a good performer. You know, he's got a lot of experience, and so I always kind of look for more ways to mix him into the show.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So how many episodes do you have?
I'm editing, which one am I doing? Oh, I'm getting ready to edit 47.
47.
Yeah, so we're 3 away from 50.
Cool.
Third season, I've been doing it, there's math involved in determining the year, but there'd have been more shows, right? But 2020, we had to take a break because I couldn't get anyone to leave their home. And we tried I don't know if any of you guys were on the Zoom. We tried to do a Zoom one.
No, I wasn't on that.
Does not work for improv.
Yeah, it's tough. I've done a couple of things that were improv. Well, at least one thing with Dennis Price online where we're improv. It's good when like you're just sort of given a character. You're like, hey, one of the bits in the show was like, all right, okay, here's a deal, Leonard. You're Sylvester Stallone and you're upset you can't get in the public pool. Go. And so there I can do like a minute of just my doing an impersonation. But like the going back and forth and trying to do it a scene and sort of responding to what other people are saying for improv over Zoom, it's really, really difficult.
Yeah, the timing's really wacky. And then Amanda was like, everybody felt like they could eat during it, right? Like everybody felt like because we're doing it on Zoom, we could just like smack our lips and have jelly running out of our mouths. And people eat that, will eat when we're doing the show. They'll have like a snack or something with them, but this was like just munching down. I'm like
spaghetti and meatballs.
And it was really distracting. So we did it once, and I'm like, no more, we're not doing the same.
It's just distracting on Zoom when people are moving around and they'll forget about someone actually chewing on something or unwrapping a.
One of my favorite things to do at work is to be in a meeting and just pick up my laptop and start like I'm in some sort of long Scorsese shot the house, right? Because I just get in my head, I'll take something out of the fridge and let it warm up. You know what? I'll just go get the mail during this meeting.
I think during this last year, people have they're accustomed to just being at home and being able to do whatever they want to do. I actually got on the phone with somebody through work. It was nobody I deal with on a regular basis, but I actually heard the toilet flush after they answered the phone. And I thought, you're kidding me, right? You're like, there's no reason on this earth why you couldn't have waited or just called me back. It was like, hello, how's it going? Yada, 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 flush, and like distinct, And I just kept talking. I was like, well, okay, whatever.
There's a guy that I work with, you know how you can get those Zoom backgrounds, right?
Yeah.
He's got a background that makes it look like he's in a cubicle having a shit. He's not, but it looks very much like he's he's in the Home Depot bathroom.
So you're at work, right? So the first couple times you think to yourself like, all right, let's not say anything. Let's just let this go. Right?
Yeah, let's let it go.
We're professional. We're not,
I used to work with someone. I'm not going to try to give any clues to where I was, but I would go into the bathroom, and then I would hear him in the stall having a conversation, and it'd be like, "Yeah, honey, yeah, blah blah. I'll bring home some milk." And I'm like, "Wait a minute. Do I need to be quiet now? Like, what? Like, well, is this a phone booth?
What's the stall etiquette? You know, I'm in. Can I make my own phone call? Like, Jesus.
Oh my God, that was so awkward.
Yeah, that's something. Speaking of work, well, actually, no. Your hosting abilities, your public speaking abilities. Are you a natural performer, public speaker, host of things in your life at work, or is it something you've had to develop over time, or are you just, you know what I'm saying?
I am an absolute natural. No, I mean, I don't know anymore, right? So I've been doing it. I don't remember when I didn't do any, even when I was in high school, I sort of did stuff like this. We did back when you could get when video cameras were like exotic, right? So this is, imagine 1982, right? And so we went to our English teacher at the time and said, "Hey, we bunch of guys decided that we would rather not write a paper for our English assignment. What we would rather do is write, direct, and produce a video with some of this video equipment that you have down to the library." Right? Wow, that's what they're gonna do. We're gonna do that. So we basically did a skit show, right? It was, I think it was very Monty Python-y, it must have been, right?
1982, sure.
Yes, it was very, I would say, heavily influenced by Monty Python. Though I think our cold opener was a spoof bit on the monkey's paw.
The monkeys.
I can't remember why we thought it was so funny, but right. And so we just, you do it how you do it, right? We all wrote little bits of the script on straight pieces of paper and set up a camera, and I was the host. So, and I think we called it Probe. I think the name of the show, it was like a fake variety show, like a fake 60 minutes-y sort of show, right? And so it was called Probe. Which is really funny name. Really funny name, right? If you're 17 in high school, and I can still remember it. Hello and welcome to Probe. Hey. Yeah. So yeah, I've been doing stuff like this a long time.
Did you get a good grade in that?
A.
For sure.
Absolutely.
Going away, I'm sure.
Even though the pauses, right? Even though between, nowadays, of course, you'd add it in, right? In between each segment, there'd be a pause, right? And of course, it was killing us. But nowadays, they stick stuff like that in.
Oh, they do.
Yep.
But yeah, we broke the tripod. Oh my God.
Parents, did your mother ride down on a horse and pay for it?
They told her to leave. And the horse she rode in.
We're sorry, Doug's mom.
My mom is a trip, I'll tell you.
I bet.
Yeah.
Ride around.
She has no inkling that other people exist, right? Or will care, right? She doesn't care.
Sometimes that's better. I mean, no, that is better. Just do your thing. Just live your life. Yeah. Just be who you're gonna be. That's the end of it, right?
Yes, and yes. So, but yeah, I've always had some kind of show going. Whether it was I was more showy than worky during my late 20s and early 30s when I lived in I mostly lived in Bulgaria, and I mostly did creative things. I was in Bulgaria for a good part of the year, and I was also in Portland, and I worked as a musician and other kind of an entertainer of various types, which I now call light entertainer.
Right, entertainer. Yeah. But how did you end up in Bulgaria?
Oh, I was an actor, so there was a theater company up in. I was in Orono. Right?
You either go to LA to be an actor, or you go to Bulgaria.
I was in Orono. I tried out to be an actor in a play, and I got the gig. The gig was part of the gig was going to Bulgaria and touring doing the show in Bulgaria, and
wow,
which I did, and everybody we were supposed to be on a 6-week thing, 6-8 weeks, and everybody came home but me.
Wow. Good experience?
Oh, absolutely great. I mean, it's one of those things, as many things, right? It tells better than it lived at times. Because I think I had to sleep in my Lada for a little while. You know, I was sleeping in a car for a while. There were some dicey activities with people who we might consider gypsies.
Okay. I got cursed a few times.
I got cursed because I didn't buy a basket of a particular type. I also had the door of my apartment stolen.
Well, did you lock it? Boom, boom.
Yeah. It was under lock and key, but they took the whole door.
Frame and all.
But it's okay because I had a friend who knew a guy who was a welder, and so he built a cage to put over my door.
Nice.
So it wouldn't happen again. But my landlord was really slow about replacing a door, so for a long time I was just a cage.
Then someone stole the cage.
You couldn't steal the cage. That's the thing. It was magic. But right, I had to put like a little curtain on there because it was just a cage door, and
it was letting air in.
It was it was very breezy, but it was fine. But yeah, it was, I had a girlfriend, and when I first brought her back to the I met her after I had a cage door and not a wooden door, and so when you want to go back and say hello to your house, and I got so used to it, right? I forgot I had a cage. Right? When am I getting my door? Utre. It's kind of like mañana, right? Utre. So I brought her back to the apartment, and it was as I'm turning the corner, right? I go, oh Jesus,
my cage.
What am I gonna say about the cage? I don't speak Bulgarian very well, guys. I go into a really complicated story. I can't do nuance at this stage.
So how do you say kidnap? How do you say kidnap in Bulgarian?
Well, no, it worked out because it just so happened that her name was Arina, and we'd been on some dates, but the dates were we've gone to the zoo, right? She likes to go to the zoo because it's sort of outside, and she would teach me the names of all the animals, right, in Bulgaria. It was really nice, right? Very kind of romantic. And so when we came around, and she's like, look, pointing at the cage. And I just said in Bulgarian, I really like the zoo.
Oh, yes.
So that's one of the trillions of stories that were generated during the period of time between 1992 and 2000.
That's great. That's great.
And before I had a chance to get my chloroform rag out, she took off.
You gotta remember to preload the rag with chloroform. I don't know why. I'm so worried about wasting it.
It's a rookie mistake there, Doug.
My grandmother used to say she was so poor that she didn't have a pot to piss in or a window to throw it out of. But she didn't know anything about cages on doors or doors, cages as doors. I wish she was still alive so I could let her know that other people are worse off.
Yeah. No, my neighbors were cool with it.
Yeah, hey, whatever.
They were cool.
Oh man, you should go back. You should go back to that place. You should take your kids back there and show them.
Well, it's one of the things I want to do, right? I think it's been 21 years since I've been there. Right? I've been through and I've been able to, I'm Facebooking with them all, but I should probably get back there. I'd really like to take the kids there and definitely take my wife there. I think she'd get it. She'd enjoy it.
Yeah. No, but any chance to travel is a good thing. So yeah. That is a really good story. You've done stand up on our open mic a couple of years ago. Did you ever do stand up comedy as a regular thing or?
Well, so when I was I had a show called the Zodiac Cowboy, and it was mostly a music show, and so it was basically a bait and switch, right? So you're hiring a guy, you hire me to play music, and you think, oh, good, I got a musician, but that's not what you got. So I do the first 2 sets would be music, and then the last set would be I would make up songs on the fly to suggestions from the audience, which was by far my favorite part of the night. And you really did have to wait until about 10 o'clock to start with that behavior because people need to be pretty good and juiced if that's going to work.
Right.
But I would tell jokes as part of the show, just either because I couldn't remember what the next song was supposed to be, I didn't feel like singing anymore. Right. So I would just start to tell stories and just sort of sometimes just make things up to very, very mixed results, right? I've had guys rush up on the stage to correct my what he perceived to be an offensive line of joking about what was apparently his girlfriend.
Interesting.
Miscalculation there. Sorry, everybody. But I like doing that stuff. But the stand-up, as I've been encountering more stand-up comedians because of the podcast, there's been a few who've been encouraging me in that direction. I think Johnny Ader's like, you should be doing some stand-up, dude. So it's just a matter of finding time to write an act, figuring out what you want to do for 5 minutes. But I've been sort of toying around with this light entertainer sort of bit. It's nice because it's it's light. I will have failed if I entertain you too much. If you're too heavily entertained, right? So you got it. But it's very precise. It has to be right. It has to be more entertaining, right, than watching somebody struggle to park a car.
Right.
But only just.
Good.
But
set yourself up nicely.
Yeah. I mean, you've talked about writing jokes for like speeches you had to do or things you've hosted before. Like, do you think that maybe the collection of those jokes you've done could give you a few minutes on stage just telling jokes?
Yeah, I think I could. I'm not concerned about being able to write a bunch of jokes because I write a bunch of jokes every 2 weeks.
Right.
So I'm not concerned about writing a bunch of jokes. It's the performing of the jokes. So, right, I'm doing all right on this interview, probably. Right, I haven't written anything down. I haven't prepared anything, and I do better when I have a rough idea of where I'm going from A to B. I know the character I'm supposed to play, and I know that I'm supposed to get a laugh every little while. That's pretty much the way I prepare for a hosting gig, for instance. Like I did I think I hosted for Dawn Hartel. I think she's been on the show.
Yes.
She had to do something, right? So it was like a Jenga. It was a spelling bee and Jenga, right? Spelling bee and Jenga. So I'm going in to host but it's not a joke spelling bee. This is a friggin' spelling bee.
There's nothing jokey about spelling bee.
For literacy volunteers. These guys are not sticking around with my alternative spelling. So, and so she said, will you do it? And I prepared the way you prepare, like, okay, how do you say literacy? How do you say volunteers? Is there, right? Do I have to give away anything? Is there any admin? Do I need to show them the bathrooms? What happens if there's a fire, right? All the stuff. But then it's just a wing, just wing it. And it was, I obviously asked the literacy volunteers how it went, but I think it went pretty well. And people laughed and I wasn't nervous. So I liked it. I get very nervous when I'm going up to tell a joke. I don't get very nervous if I'm just going up to go, hey, everybody. I know I'm not strictly there for myself.
So then have you tried doing improv? Because that sounds like you'd be better at improv and
I think I probably would be better at improv. I haven't tried. It just hasn't, and it's not for lack of desire. I just haven't the opportunity and the opportunity to do it and the free time to do it have not entered this building at the same time.
Right. It does seem like you'd be a natural at it. You have some acting skills and you have some comedic skills, and you understand comedic timing.
What?
So
still gotta laugh though.
Yeah, see? Perfect.
Still gotta laugh.
That was a cheap one.
cheap laugh. Unbelievable.
So cheap. I can hear Sheldon Bird calling in the back.
Caw.
Oh shoot.
Well, so Doug, thank you very much again for joining us. If you recall, we mentioned to you a segment we want to do on each podcast called "Curse the Darkness." And if you're not familiar, there's a Chinese proverb. I think it's Chinese proverb that goes like, "If I'd rather light a candle than curse the darkness." And the Curse the Darkness segment is just where we want people to talk about things that they want to curse about. Now, you don't have to use bad words. Because it's okay. It's an adult podcast, but like things that you complain about, but don't have any plans to make any effort to change or fix or anything like that. So things you might complain about, but don't work to correct.
I looked it up. It is a Chinese proverb.
It's a Chinese because I can't really do this unless I know the specific origin of the proverb. I just that. So basically, when you say curse in this case, you mean curse in the context of I curse thee.
Yes.
I bestow upon thou a withering curse.
Yeah, you're used to being cursed. You understand this.
I think I don't. I'll tell you. You know what's been bothering me lately? I'll tell you what's been bothering me lately. Thank you for asking. Finally, people who ask questions that they do not care about knowing the answer to.
Oh, okay.
Or, right, people who ask questions that they very well know the answer to. Like, hey, I noticed that you spelled there the wrong way. Did you mean to spell?
Did you mean it that way?
The wrong way. Yes. No. Thank you very much for asking me about my state of mind when the crime happened. Right? Yeah, basically, I hardly ever ask a question I don't know the answer to.
That's like a lawyer.
That's my line of biz. Yeah, it's my sort of line of biz, right?
Yeah.
I like to know what I'm asking about because I'm trying to catch them. I'm just kidding everybody at work. I'm not that way, really. I'm not that way, really. All right, we're all right. Everybody with the mute. Okay, I'm riding it. It's cool. It doesn't annoy me anymore. Now it's like, oh yeah. Now when it happens, it's a comfort, right? It's a comfort when somebody talks while they're on mute after a year of doing that.
It's hilarious.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
hilarious.
I'm so glad you did that, man.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm a sane person now.
This has been a real meeting. Someone does it. Okay, great. Now we can move on.
Meeting. And that's one of the problems with doing Zoom meetings and team meetings where I work is that it's already not that that's not really a happening kind of gig, right? We're not like, it's not like what's that? And it's not like a high pressure investigation show, right? It's not like everybody's really, they're all lovely, but they're not that cool. And the subject matter is definitely not cool, right? So the meetings can be a little dry, even in person, and we like to use lots of the primary terms that will come up in a meeting. Well, we don't want to reinvent the wheel. We don't want to get down in the weeds, right?
Right.
We don't, because those weeds, what's going to happen to those weeds? They're going to get wrapped around the axle. That's what's going to happen. Right? So
before, it'll happen again.
Well, that's usually the highlight. That's usually all the comedy that you're going to get out of any meeting. But on Teams, it's made it a little bit worse because everybody's a little stiff, in front of the camera, but not me, because I'm like, camera. Hey, everybody, it's time for the meeting. I got Birgfeld, and I got the agenda right here, and it looks like first on the agenda is Mary Sue McGillicuddy. You might remember Mary Sue from the meeting at 8:30, the meeting at 9:30, and reprising her role in the meeting at 10:30. Well, she's back for the 1:30 meeting. And she's going to ask you a few questions she doesn't care about the answer to. Thank you very much.
Oh, she's on mute. Mary.
Mary, you're on mute.
You're on mute, Mary.
Oh,
Mary, can you hear us?
So I curse thee. That's what I bestow upon that a withering curse.
No,
excellent.
That's perfect.
Thank you, Doug.
Perfect.
All right.
I think in this day and age.
Well, Doug, this has been great, Doug. Thank you very much for joining us. It's been great to have you as a guest. Love to have you back on and talk about other times when you've kidnapped people in other countries.
Sure. And I want to thank you very much. I really appreciate you having me on. I really did have a good time. It's very nice of you, by the way. I just want to indicate that it's a very nice thing to do, to invite somebody onto your show.
Oh,
and I would also like to say it's Ultra Quiz Plus is the name of the program. And you can find it on www.ultraquizplus.com, or you can just search on iTunes or Apple Podcasts or anywhere you get podcasts, and you'll be able to find it, where you will hear, ladies and gentlemen, not just Leonard Kimball, not just Nick Gordon, but many of the comedians that they will have interviewed on this show. So hope to see you on my stats later.
Very
Excellent.
true. Very true.
Very
All
good.
intertwined.
All right.
Thank you.
I did my official plug. I feel good now.
That was
Excellent.
That was a good plug.
Thank you very much, Doug Birgfeld, everyone. That was Doug Birgfeld, ladies and gentlemen. I can't imagine living in an apartment in a foreign country with a front door that is made of bars and bringing a girl who likes the zoo home for a rendezvous.
Yeah, I feel like Doug is full of stories like this, and he was a pleasure to talk with outside of the parameters of his podcast, the Ultra Quiz Plus, and I'm excited to have a surf buddy for the summer.
You can hear more of Doug, Sheldon, us, and many of Maine's other comedians on the Ultra Quiz Plus podcast, found at ultraquizplus.com and wherever you get your podcasts.
Thanks again to our listeners. You can follow Comedy Think Tanked on Podbean, Spotify, Pandora, pretty much any place you can think of. Be sure to give us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. Find us on Instagram at Comedy Think Tanked, Twitter at Comedy Tanked, and our website, comedythinktanked.com. Email us at comedythinktanked@gmail.com. Have a nice day.
Theme music was written and produced by a minor, Ralph Birgfeld. No comedians were hurt in the production of this podcast. All audio snippets of actual funny punchlines were not written or performed by any of us or our subsidiaries. Rather, they are express written bits of professionals we admire. Let the civil actions be filed. Any opinion heard, actual or implied, is that of Comedy Think Tank's producers and their guests. Any slight, insult, affront, slur, disparaging remark, snub, rebuff, rejection, or spurning, no matter how derogatory, pejorative, or abusive you may feel it is, was not intended but for comedic entertaining purposes only. Thanks for listening.
Yes, Comedy Think Tank. Yeah, comedy Think Tank.
Have you gotten better at saying it? Tanked.
Give me a second. Comedy Think.
Try not to interrupt you.
Yeah. You need to try harder. Comedy Think Tanked. Tanked.
Tanked.